join you today from Skate's volleyball court in a very unique area here in town. Skate, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you hosting today. So you grew up in Henniker. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. I certainly enjoyed it a lot. We were a very small town, small school. My graduating class, we ended up having 16 kids, 8 boys, 8 girls. It was a pretty quick graduation ceremony. But it was great. You knew everybody. I guess there's ups and downs, and everybody knows everything about you, I guess, too. But I thought it was a nice way to grow up and just being a tight-knit community and one school, one town kind of thing. So it was, I wouldn't change it for anything for what I went through. So, but we did end up, we were the second last class from Henniker, so the uppity-ups figured that we needed to do something different. So I was certainly happy to be graduated from Henniker High School. Nothing against John Stark, but I was certainly happy to be an Indian. I guess you can't say that anymore. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so John Stark, they had Weare and Henniker, and then obviously your side you have like Stockton and surrounding towns, Weare and stuff like that. So schools have changed a little bit over the years, but one of the constants has been Hopkinton. It's been around for a long time, and you ended up moving here.
Right. Yeah, we were looking at, because we started having kids in 99, and 03 we moved here. For the schools, we always liked Hopkins schools and what they were doing there, and wanted that one school, one town vibe. So we bought some land here on Pine Street and built this place, and it's been going strong ever since. But it was kind of hard coming to Hopkins from Henniker because we were always rivals, and we had some battles going up, and always they were kind of like the big brother and kind of beat on us a little bit, but sometimes we would take it down a little bit. But I get over that slowly. But once you get kids in the system, and you just realize how nice of a community Hopkinton is. It made it easy to filter in and start helping out. So that's kind of why we ended up here, because I was living in Warner, and all my kids could have been Kearsarge Cougars, but we decided to move a few miles across the line there and come to Pine Street. So it's worked out. It's worked out great.
With the success that all 4 kids have had in the system, I think we can certainly agree with that. Now let's talk about the volleyball court in just this area here. It's wicked impressive. What made you decide to build this?
Well, my first thought was to build a bigger unit so I could play full volleyball. But that was the size of it and the scope of everything. We kind of downsized to having a 20 by 40 racquetball court room inside of our house. So it's worked out great. It's a nice space for the kids, especially in the winter or any inclement weather, just being able to do anything you want here. I got 2 hoops up. We play volleyball. We play dodgeball, floor hockey, badminton, just about everything. We do a little cornhole in here. It was just the dust from the bags. We're not doing that ever yet. Unless I get their cornhole bags. But it's just a nice spot where you can't really beat up anything. The walls are all pretty thick, and it's a nice area for the kids to play in. They certainly was their playground growing up when we were building this, especially, and then going forward. So we've had a few parties over here for birthday parties and other stuff, and a lot of kids come in here and say, "Man, it's your house." So we actually had Brian come out and do a little thing for us in 05. So, but I never think about this and say I shouldn't have done this. So it's worked out great. I actually had 8 people in this room playing volleyball last night. So it's great for me and all my friends and family. So.
You got some windows and doors that are named after people. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, we usually have, if you get 50 times coming to play volleyball here, you usually get a tile on the floor. You can't see them from the video, but they get their own special tile, and then they get to name something. So we have windows named, we have doors named, we have thermostats named, we have backboards named. We have a lot of plexiglass to make it a little more viewing from outside the room. That's named, so it just gives the people who play a little more incentive to keep playing and maybe be able to name something else. So, but it's worked out pretty well.
Super neat. So let's get involved with HYSA. This is one of the big things when you came to town, is you got super involved. I know HYSA already existed, but you really took it over, and I think you've given more hours, town community service, especially in sports, than anybody else in the last 2 decades.
Well, certainly it's been a great run for me to fill in my voice to fill out my time. Basically, HYSA started in 1987 by a group that started up Hopkinton Youth Sports Association. Then it switched over to sports a few years after that. But I kind of started in 05 when Kale started T-ball. I helped out with coaches there, and I never thought I was going to be a coach. My dad never coached any of my teams, and my mom, they always would go to games and stuff, but coaching wasn't in my realm. But as I started with Kale and then the other kids going forward, I said I could probably coach and try to do as well as the other people are doing. So I kind of started in 05. I think 07 is when I started on the board. And then once I got on the board, I noticed that there was a lot of voids in what needed to be done. So as far as the coaching part, I would probably coach every season, sometimes multiple teams. And then I got into, I guess baseball was my first one, where I was kind of commissioner of baseball, which transitioned to softball. But baseball, I get on the basketball committee, and I ended up taking that over. Soccer, I got on that committee, and ended up taking that over. I'm now the soccer president of NBSL and softball president of Cap area. I got out of basketball. They had some good support there. They didn't need me. But I certainly had fun doing that. It's nice to be able to run some stuff too as a league. You just get a little more bought into everything, and you meet more people, and you try to run it as well as you can. There's always people who think you can do it better, but that's when they need to step up and try to do it better. But it's been nice being part of the runnings of these leagues. I mostly did it for me to do schedules so that I could possibly run more than one team and make it work out. So there was a method to my madness, and I'm still doing two of them. I'm probably going to get out of those at some point, but I just want to make sure the kids are able to play, and whether I'm doing it right or not, but they seem to get through every season, and we come back and we do it again the next season. So it's been really good. As far as HYSA goes, we used to be just soccer, basketball, baseball, softball, and that was it. And I think what really kind of opened the door was a guy, Bill Rennie, called from tennis, from USTA, and he said, "Why aren't you guys interested in running a tennis program?" I said, "Well, really not, because I figured that I'd have to run it, because that's how things were kind of running there." So I said no, but he was persistent and called back and said, "Let's have an open tennis night and have food and just try to have kids show up and have a little clinic." So I said, "All right, let's do it." And it's worked out really well. We worked with USTA. We got the courts redone with a little help from the town and HYSA. So I used to call it the Grand Canyon of tennis courts, because there were some big cracks out there that I think the small kids could fall into, but the grass growing out of it. So being able to give that back to the town and offer tennis. And it's still going today. We got other people running it, but it did give me one of my biggest perks from HYSA was able to go to the USTA, at the US Open in New York. So they gave us a full ride. Actually, Chuck Rader and I got down there to see that, and it was just awesome. It was the time they opened up the roof. They put the roof on the big stadium there with Phil Collins playing, so we were able to be there for that. So it's one of my favorite perks of being with HYSA was that tennis thing. But we did add golf, flag football, field hockey. As long as we had people to run them, we would add them. We certainly are a little thinner. It's just kind of a PSA, the public service announcement for people to maybe step up for flag football, field hockey. We do have golf and tennis going still, but we're always looking for people to help with that part. But it's nice to offer a little bit more. Not everybody is into those other sports, so it fits a mold for the kids that we're missing the other way. So I think it's nice to be able to offer as much as we can.
So getting parents involved is a huge part of this. You need to have staff in order to be able to keep these sports running. Just talk a little bit about like the involvement from the parents and getting them involved to be able to keep this thing going.
Right, because we're a volunteer organization and we have a lot of teams. So I coach 2 or 3 teams sometimes, and it's a stress because if you do have that scheduler where your teams are playing at the same time, you're not going to be able to do it. So I try to stress to everybody that if you got to be coaching more than one team, make sure you have a good assistant. I was always happy to have great assistants on my teams, so I didn't have a problem with letting them run that show for any time we hit conflicts. But Hopkins had a great community spirit where we've had a lot of people stepping up. Sometimes we beg a little bit more than we have to, but we get it figured out, and it's for the kids. I figure sports is a great classroom outside of having to write on a piece of paper and read and all that stuff to the school part of it, but it's a classroom on the field, on the court, and they learn a lot of stuff that way for just dealing with different instances, working with people and schedules and practices and just working together as a team. So, but as far as community involvement, we seem to always be able to make it work for people stepping up. If we don't, then it goes away. So the people that we aren't able to help, hopefully we can be able to help in the future.
You began to get more involved with the school teams. Obviously, you started out with the youth sports at the younger levels, but currently the JV girls basketball coach, and you got more involved at that level. So just walk us through how that happened.
Yeah, actually, I first started helping with school sports with Shepard in middle school cross country because he was an 8th grader, and Callie, the 6th grader, was able to do cross country. The only time she did cross country. She went to soccer after that, and she did really well with soccer. So, but I was able to help out the coach. Callie's diabetes kind of fit into that too, because I kind of wanted to be there for her running and be able to help out as needed. But it was nice that Shepard was there, and his 8th graders, 7th graders, and then 6th graders. And actually, Shaylee got to tag along. And she was running with all those upperclassmen as I think she was 3rd grade. So she got kind of thrown into the mix, but she's been used to being thrown in the mix from day one. So that was my first delve into it. Off of that, I actually wrote a list down so I didn't screw anything up. Then I went to middle school baseball with Shepard's group, and I coached that for 3 years. Then I did middle school soccer, Glenn Brio. Awesome job getting all these girls prepped. And he was a big reason why we won 4 championships in a row. I did 5 years of middle school soccer, girls soccer. Then I did 4 years of middle school softball. I did 6 years of middle school basketball with the girls. And I've done 5 years of JV girls and then assisting with the varsity. So it's been a pretty cool run to be able to do all those separate sports. I did get coach one of middle school boys basketball, because the famous art director had another event, so over at South Meadow, I get to coach both the boys and the girls games. So we won both, so it was awesome. I filled in for Artie. He's filled in for me over the times too, because we coach in middle school and JV at the same time. It was a nightmare for Dan. I loved it because it just bled from one to the other as they kept growing. They stayed with me, but I totally understand not being able to do that because it's just scheduling wise on Dan's part. But I certainly love having those two teams go at the same time. But being the JV and varsity, it's really special too, especially being able to coach my girls. So now I've borrowed everybody else's girls, so I have they're all mine are gone, but all my new ones are still there.
So one of the big things that I think people should know, obviously you've contributed a ton of time here volunteering in town, probably more than anybody else, definitely with sports. And the other thing is that since you're developing these kids so young and getting them playing and interested and active, it's really building them up and making them better. There's been so many close state championships over the years and across the board, all these different sports that we've been able to win by a hair. And because getting those kids started, I think there's a lot more banners down the road at the gym because of you.
Well, it certainly helps. We get them going early, hopefully they get the bug, whether it be one sport or another or multiple sports. I'm always a big fan of having kids playing multiple sports. If you start to specialize early, then you start breaking things early. And I'd say different sports, it's different muscles, different techniques, different coaches, just a whole different thing. So it just builds up their knowledge of what they need to deal with going through life too. So, but championships are always awesome. I always represent my 2018, 2019, where we won 9 state championships in that school year. Callie made the shirt up for that. That was obviously our best year as a school. We had 2 years where we won 6 championships. I actually wrote that down so I didn't forget it. 21, 22, and in 2012, 2013, we won 6. We had a multiple 5s and 4s, but winning 9 is pretty impressive. Having 3 sports each season that we won, the 3 seasons that we played in the schools. So that was pretty special. That's pretty hard to do. And HYSA had a part of that, but lacrosse club, soccer club, track and field, what George has done, what Zach Emerson's doing now with the track and field. The fact that we don't have a track and we've won the last 2 girls state championships in D3 against Pelham and Sanborn, who are D2, and there's like 4 or 5 teams out of all D3 that don't have tracks, and we're one of them. To be able to do that is just pretty impressive as a small town that we are. We just do really well with what we have, and that's good coaching and good families and just putting the work in.
So 2018-19 school year being the mountaintop of everything, and then following that up was COVID, which I know you wanted to discuss. That was a pretty big deal for the town.
Yeah. COVID really put a wrench in a lot of things. Shepard was playing. He was a senior. Yeah, he was a senior. He played his last game over in Keene. They lost to Guilford. Guilford was co-champions. That was one of the last games that they played before COVID hit. And it was just rough playing with masks after that. We had to shut a few things down for HYSA sports because the league shut down for some stuff. But we were able to come back playing with masks. And it certainly gave me an opportunity to get into the JV basketball realm. Because with COVID, we didn't have a lot of girls. I think we had Liz Holmes was the only freshman we had that year. So we had a JV team that got some games around our regional COVID basketball schedule because we played Stark, we played Brady, we played Hillsborough, just local stuff. We got a few JV games in. It was mostly just the lower end of the varsity team, and was just playing a little bit more at the end of the varsity games. But it did knock us down, just slowed us down a little bit. But COVID certainly ruined the ending sports years for a lot of those who graduated in 2020, which was Shepherd's year, because they didn't get their baseball, their track, their lacrosse, all those got knocked out. And then, but we're able to rewrite the ship and get back into it. But it certainly changed a lot of things for that. But it certainly gave me an opportunity to coach at a higher level too. So I can't complain too much.
So all four of your kids went through, and you got to, coach each of them. Shaylee, the youngest, graduating this year, so you really have one heck of a run. So it seems appropriate now is the time that we get to talk about this.
Sure. We'll start with Kale. Kale, he graduated in 2017. His group of boys that were in that class is a really strong group. They certainly could have had a few more championships at the basketball realm, but at the time we had a few of those D2 teams, Pelham, Kearsarge, Stevens, to say probably the biggest threes of those. But so I think all of those ended up winning championships in those years that Kale's group was there. So basketball was pretty strong. Kale did cross country. They always did pretty solid. They had some good runners there. And baseball was there. Kale's last hurrah. He was the senior catcher for that team that beat Pittsfield, and we were actually in D4 that year. And when they won the championship, and then 2 hours later, the boys lacrosse team won the championship, I think in Exeter or something. So it was pretty impressive. They had 2 championships within hours of each other, the same season and same gender too. So that was pretty impressive. And, that was Kale's one championship, and Shepherd's too. Shepherd was on that baseball team. He played 2 years of baseball. They played 2 years of track, one which got COVIDed out. So he got a little thinner on that end because of COVID taking away some stuff. But Shepherd was great at track cross country. His senior year, he came in, I think, 3rd for his division, and the team came in 2nd. So that was a great accomplishment by that group. Certainly a sleeper to come into 2nd place for that. But he loved basketball, and then he was able to do a little baseball and track. He was a jumper in track. Got to go to UNH for meet champions. So I was starting to get into track then. That was my first child to get into track. So I was holding back a little bit and still watching a lot of baseball. That was Shepherd. So Callie did really well soccer-wise. Can't do any better than winning 4 championships in 4 years. She was a starter all 4 years, so very impressive. My sister did that for basketball, with Henniker, won 4 years in a row for basketball. And then softball, her first year, they won the championship, with her and Maddie and Julia and Abby. They were all freshmen on the team. We had a really great team. We were looking to repeat that next year, but COVID took us out. So we can actually say we were kind of still champions there. We don't get a banner or anything, but nobody took away from us. So I call that 5.5 championships for Callie. So they did come in 2nd when they were able to play again against Campbell her junior year, and then her senior year she got to play with Shaylee. Shaylee's only softball experience, and they actually lost to Campbell again in the quarterfinals there. But great run for Callie. She soccer, basketball, and softball wise, it was an awesome 4 years. Shaylee got into it right into cross country. She loved cross country. Followed her brothers with that, and she won a championship, first 2 championships right out of the gate. She came in 2nd junior year, and then she won this year with as a senior. So she's 3 out of 4 for the cross country. Basketball wise, she came in. She played as a freshman with her sister. We lost to Stevens in the first round there. Second year, we made the Final Four. It was Pat Roy's last year. We got to the Final Four. That's when they were playing in Bow for the Final Four. Actually, yeah, the Final Four. Yeah, the Bow, and then the championship was in Keene. But we lost to Conan. Yeah. Shelley doesn't really care about that game. She didn't score at all. They certainly shut her down. Junior year for Shelley, it was the perfect storm. We had people that came back to us, and there was people that either got hurt or graduated from other teams, and it worked out great. We had a really great team. We had a little injury bug at the middle of the season to the end, but we kept working through stuff. Made it to the championship game, and came on the short end of that. But being there is pretty cool, but winning it's a little cooler. But it was great to be there and to have a great run for those girls. It was awesome. I know we lost on your birthday, Drew. Sorry about that. We won on Pat Roy's birthday one time, but we lost on Drew's birthday. But it was a great run, and the girls should be really proud. But note to self, just try to score in every period. Very important. Yep. Her senior year for basketball, still some injury bugs going through. We had some people filling in, and it was a little rougher here and there. It was nice to have Sid and Christy and Emily as seniors. Senior night was a little different this year from last year, so it was nice to have actually seniors that could be participating in the whole thing. But Shelley had a great run with basketball too, being able to bring a second place plaque home was pretty impressive for any of these teams to do. We always love parades, but plaques are pretty cool too. And then she got to do for softball that first year. Being a softball guy, it was hard to see her go to track, but she did track sophomore through the senior year. They came in third her sophomore year, then they won the last 2 years. So shout out to all the track people. It was, like I said, it's pretty awesome to win track championships with an actual track. So Shelley had five parades, and Callie had 5 parades, and the boys had 1, but 1 each. So it was quite a run for the kids. Very, very proud of them, and it's something we can always think about and look back on.
In basketball, you got to work with some great coaches. Obviously, Pat Roy had an excellent run here, made some deep playoff runs with him, trips to the Final Four. Yep. So you got to coach with him, and then obviously Mike the past 2 years, and this first year you helped bring the team to the championship. Let's talk about those for a minute.
Yeah. Being able to follow Pat at middle school, because he was doing middle school before he went to the varsity. He filled in there. That was when we were playing all these local teams before we get into the Tri-County League, where we had an actual set schedule and playoffs and championships and stuff. So, it was great following his lead. I learned a lot from him, just being able to run a practice and deal with the girls and different things that come up and just try to get them to love basketball. It's my favorite. You have to do everything in basketball. You have to play offense, defense. There's a lot going on. There's only 5 of you. All these other sports, they have more than 5. You can kind of lean on more people, but basketball's always been my favorite. My parents kind of put that into me when we would go up to Plymouth State and watch basketball from morning, noon, and night for all the playoffs up there. So basketball is huge, and Pat's coached at every level and done it well at every level. So I was happy to learn from him and be able to keep going with Mike and working with the boys side too, we've had some great coaches on the other side between Dave Chase, Sid Nord, Matt Miller, a couple of years. We got Liam now. Ari's always helping with everything. Vince Judd helped out earlier. I remember we coached together for I think 7, 8 teams. Dan Reserve, I coached with him with basketball and softball. It's been a great run of coaches through Hopkins. It seems like there's always a wealth of knowledge there. We have, like Barry Brewer just passed. He was always fun to watch. He had the kids always playing really hard when he was coaching. So yeah, coaching here in Hopkins has always been, usually people sign right up for that because they know the kids are pretty much into it and they get good support from leadership and from parents. So it's been pretty easy to work together with a lot of these people.
A lot of coaches of the year, obviously. Coach Roy winning it in 23, and then brand new coach, Mike Mahoney won it in 24 as well. So pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah. It takes a village and being able to put all the parts together to get to that point. So
it's cool that you have to work with both of them.
Yeah.
Everything else you just mentioned. So now let's just talk for a minute about you have your last kid just graduated, Shaylee. What now? What are you going to be up to now? What are you working on?
I'm going to stick with the JV basketball, help with the varsity stuff because those are all my new girls. And we've got a great section of girls coming up. I think we might have 15 girls from 8th grade going into 9th grade that might be trying out for basketball this year. So it could be our first year in a long time that we've had to think about having to have a cut or two, but we'll see how it goes. I always tell Dan, I tell all the coaches, there's sign up and then there's show up. So hopefully we get the numbers there, and it's always great to have a choice and be able to put out a good. Hopefully we can fill out our teams to 12 and 12 and go from there. But basketball's pretty alive and well in Hopkins for the girls' side. The boys are always hot for that stuff too. So, because it is a great sport. We do have Nordic and other skiing stuff, but it's really cold out there. So a lot of people like to stay in and play where it's warm. So basketball is pretty strong, and I'm looking forward to future years with basketball. I still support the soccer and softball, baseball. Still not that much of a lacrosse guy, but I get to some of the games. But I usually do all the fields for the town and for the schools, so that gets me into those. And so I'm not going away too quickly unless something drastic changes. But basketball part, I'm running my 5th basketball camp in a couple of weeks. I got softball camp next week, so. I'm still in it. I just love having the kids play and make sure they're having fun and just wanting to keep playing.
All right. Thanks, Kate.
All right. Appreciate it.
Please subscribe to the channel. It helps out a bunch and is completely free. Thank you.